the website of record, I think I would say, about the great folks over at Pewter Report. They've been doing it for a long, long time. I love the guys at Joe Bucks fan as well. A lot of great websites and podcasts out there, to be quite honest with you. Much better than the local station, I would have to say. He'll join us at 10:30. TJ Rives will join us at 11:15. Bucks sideline guy, and we will chat with him as well about all things Buccaneers. So much news to get to here, and with the situation with Chris Godwin, man, that was that came down after our show yesterday when Arians said that we had thought that maybe he would be back for the playoffs, but obviously that's not true. He is done for the year, ACL and MCL. And I'll tell you something, what really is interesting about this is, and we're going to get into all the different machinations of how they replace him, who's going to go where, et cetera, et cetera. But, we talk about integrity in terms of, Bruce Arians, and we're going to play all this audio today as well. Not saying it's a zero tolerance policy with AB and the COVID cards, and so many people in the media wishful that the Bucks would, including the Times, obviously, Romano, cut AB, and there's the integrity of the organization. Here's the integrity organization. Chris Godwin gleefully played on the franchise tag. You make sure you give him a long-term contract. He deserves it. And this is you should go after him with the same fervor that you would if he were healthy. He's going to recover. He's one of those guys that will bust his ass to get back. Now, obviously, in the contract, there has to be some measure of protection for the team if he cannot come back and play at a high level. Chris understands that. But the bulk of the money, the bulk of the 100 and whatever million guaranteed money that he would have gotten, I'm not sure exactly what the latest receiver going rate is, but he needs to be paid as a top 5 receiver, in my opinion. And that's where the integrity of your organization comes in.
I think it does cost him a little bit of money if he left Tampa, because I don't think he was going to get, 23, 25 million from the Bucks, sort of say. I think probably a discount come back, and he probably knows that, or they would have to get really creative, which they're really good at doing. But that's kind of the going rate for a 25 million range. If he signs the tag again, I think might be likely. It's I think about 18.5 would be the tag if he get that again. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're going to give him that long. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, man, I wonder what the contract now, what's going to happen, because going off timeline, he's not going
to for the postseason, late season run. Knowing Chris Godwin, I think he will be. But that first year, you're just not quite as effective. And I think that they just have to, in general, make a statement that we're going to honor this contract that we were going to pay him anyway. That's the right thing. You want to talk, sends a message to the players, sends a message to the rest of the league about the integrity of the franchise. This stuff with we got to kick him off the team for the COVID card thing. That's I think people that are very much interested in fear mongering about COVID and everything else, and the whole idea. And I put this on Twitter yesterday, and we'll get into this a little bit more. Everybody's like, "Wow, he endangered Bruce Arians, and he endangered Tom Moore by misrepresenting his vaccination status." Vaccinated players are the ones sick. They're the ones triple vaxxed boosted, are the ones getting COVID and spreading COVID. Not only that, they're vaccinated. Maybe Bruce is just not worried because he believes the vaccines work. He's protected. Could that be the case? Safe and effective, and they are effective. Then why this hysteria of, oh my God, AB is he could be killing people? That's completely untrue. That's fear mongering. That's hype. Yes, people have died from COVID. I get that. Very few people have died from Omicron. This is a completely different strain. And we'll get into some of the details about that later and how that should be affecting the decisions that are being made right now. But as far as this AB situation goes, and we're going to play some of the sound today, that I think I very much think that Bruce made the right decision there. Why punish the players, the fans, and everybody else for a mistake that AB made and Mike Edwards made?
And,
That they paid for their penance.
this is basically last year all over again. AB was brought in when Evans and Godwin went down with injuries.
Mhm.
He was the insurance policy. Nobody could have foreseen this happening this late into the season, but guess what? AB's coming back. Those guys are out. This is what he's here for.
Mhm.
And I think Bruce, that might have been what he's thinking this entire time. If anything happens, you saw what happened out there with some of the other guys who couldn't get open against the Saints. I mean, AB, that's not going to happen to Antonio Brown. He's just too talented. And I think the Godwin injury being out to next year, we'll talk about that as there's a long off season ahead of us to get to. But I think that might impact, will Antonio Brown come back next year? What is he going to get on the market now?
Right.
Because he has a chance to show how important he is to other teams, but also to the Bucs as well. Because I don't think the Bucs would want to roll into next year with just Mike Evans and then the rest of what they have.
No. And some of these guys, to me, and I really hate to get into next year when we've got everything in front of us right here, and now we have to figure out what are the Bucs going to do now? How do they play this situation? Don't forget that before AB came here, Miller was one of Brady's favorite targets. In the opener last year against New Orleans, 6 targets, 5 catches, 73 yards. Game 2 against Carolina, 3 targets, 2 catches. Game 3 against Denver, 5 targets, 3 catches, 83 yards, including a big 47-yard tutty. Against the Chargers, 7 targets, 5 catches, 83 yards. Against Green Bay, 2 targets, 1 catch. Against Vegas this year, his highest target rate, 9 targets, 109 yards, a touchdown, 18.2 yards per catch, 6 catches out of the 9 targets. Against the Giants, 3 of 6, another 6 targets. So he averaged almost 6.5, 7 targets per game pre-AB, and he was playing mostly in the slot. So I think you go this game with Evans, I think likely out, right? I think you go Perriman, AB, Scotty Miller in the slot. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's the best thing. I told you, I think Breshad Perriman should probably be outside. Instead, if that's where it's between him and Tyler Johnson, only because he has speed, and I know that he can run away from defenders. He showed it.
Yeah.
Don't know if Tyler Johnson can do that right now. So I think that's where I'd put Perriman. But of course, we don't know how much these guys are going to play.
Right.
We really don't. I mean, we don't even know if Perriman's even going to get off the list yet. We're assuming he is.
I think he will.
He probably will.
Yeah, I think it's 10 days. I think that probably would be up.
Yeah.
No. He went on the list on Friday, so the 10 days wouldn't be up.
Yeah.
So he would have to test out.
Yeah. We'll have to see. But he probably should be back there.
Yeah.
And then AB, we have no idea really what to expect.
Yeah, I think Arians said 35 plays to expect. I mean, one of the things the Bucs have to do is renew their energy to run the football.
Yes.
And that's something they can do this week. So, I think they're still okay. Obviously, Godwin, again, I think he's a top 5 receiver in the league all around with his blocking ability, his running after the catch, his route running, his competitive catch rate. I mean, he's just the best all around. And he's going to be sorely missed. But we've got guys that can step up. And the same thing with Leonard Fournette. Rojo, when Rojo was the man last year, he put up some really, really hefty numbers. And obviously the issue with Rojo is he tends to make a big mistake here and there. He'll miss a block on pass protection, or he'll fumble the football. And at this point, he's just got to be over that. He's just got to be over that. He's got to be better. Simple as that. I'm trying to find those numbers. Basically, he had a 186-yard game with that 95-yard run. Remember that one? I'll never forget that one down the sideline where he's hurdling a catch and a run, a real huge touchdown in that particular game.
Yeah, I got the numbers right here. It was 26 for 128, 20 for 125, 25 for 121 and 2 tuds, 19 for 84 and a touchdown. And then remember that Carolina game where Fournette only played about a quarter of the snaps, and he had 198 yards in that one.
Yeah, it's per Mike Clay NFL. So I feel Giovanni, my good. Oh, not good. Not good. He really had something there.
But and the thing too with Rojo, when he gets the ball in his hands in the flat, he hesitates. He did it the other day. He just goes kind of out of bounds. He doesn't take on contact. And there's a play out there. I'm sure you've seen it from the view where he had a chance to go get a first down and he had two guys coming and he opted just to cut out.
I tweeted about it right when it happened. And did you see Brady go over to him?
Brady was pissed.
Brady went over to him and said, son, no.
And you saw even too, he went like this with his hands when he saw him go out of bounds.
Yeah,
that's
you can't do that.
Fournette's not doing that. He's going to take on that contact.
And especially when you're the second back, at that point, Fournette hadn't been hurt yet. You know, you're trying to get your touches again and trying to prove to your coaches and teammates that you're the guy, and you do that. And they ended up not getting that first down.
No, they did not.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge play. What are you running out of bounds for,
and
bro?
It's odd because when you see him run, when he runs with the football, he kind of he doesn't waste time. He just goes.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't.
He's not afraid of contact.
He's not afraid of contact.
No. That was very unlike him. I was like, what the hell was that all about?
For whatever reason, when he catches the ball, I don't know if he's so focused on catching it, he doesn't even like process where to run or anything. I don't know. He just doesn't look comfortable in that part of his game still.
Do we even run a screen last game?
I don't think we ran any screens.
None. Like what?
I don't know. I mean,
I was rewatching the game last night, and one of my notes that I made was, what were the coaches thinking? That was awful
Yes.
offensive game plan. It was terrible. If that was Byron Leftwich's audition for the Jacksonville job, he ain't getting the job. That was terrible. And I'm like, Byron's a great coach, and I said this last week. The Bucs may want to do a preemptive strike and sign him as their next head coach. That's something they have to work through. But he did not distinguish himself in that calling of a game, and nor did this entire coaching staff. I mean, and Scott Reynolds is going to talk about this as well because they wrote about it on Pewter Report. At this point, I hate to say it, but you're Sean Payton's bitch. I mean, you're 0-6 against Sean Payton in the regular season. I mean, that's a disturbing trend, and the way that he shut down your offense, or Dennis Allen has shut down your offense, or DC. That's a disturbing trend. And so, and I haven't really heard the coaching staff take a huge, chunk of responsibility for this.
I was going to say the same thing. You kind of hear the same song and tune. It's, well, they have really good players. They play cover 2. You got to really be on your game to beat them. Well, that's an obvious statement. You know what?
The Giants beat them.
The Giants had no problem beating. 7 teams in the list this year haven't had a problem beating them.
Yeah.
Well, why is it this one, the team that's the most talented of every team they're facing?
Yeah. And they played with more intensity. They played more physical than the Buccaneers did. They intimidated the Buccaneers physically. And I said this yesterday, the more and more I look at that hit by PJ Williams, I think it was a dirty hit. Yeah. I think it was a dirty hit. That he had plenty of opportunity. He knew he was coming across the middle. He targeted the knee. I'm sorry. And they were doing it all game long. About 3 plays after that one, I think it was Malcolm Jenkins or somebody else came diving at Gronk's knees.
It's the same guy.
Same thing at Fournette. Was it PJ again?
Yeah, it was PJ again. And I think Rondé, did you see Rondé this morning?
No.
He went on Twitter and said, when you do hits like that and then you try to do it later in the game, you're showing a lack of respect for your brothers out on the field.
Interesting.
So that's what Rondé had said.
Well, this is the day, I'm pretty sure the day that he comes into One Buck and does his film breakdown for their website.
Yes.
I'm going to text him and see if I can get him on the show. Now we're taping a show this afternoon. Bruce Gradkowski is going to join us, so we'll get his take on the breakdown of the Bucs offense, what went wrong. Is this a coaching thing? Is it a player thing? It's a matchup thing. Obviously, it's all of those things. But we'll divvy up the responsibilities, etc. But we'll try to get Rondé on as well. That's very interesting because that's not something he would tweet out lightly.
Yeah, he doesn't really tweet much like that.
No. That's something that he must have felt very, very strongly about. And looking back at the game last night, I was, when you go back, you start looking for things. I would say I probably wrote down 7 to 8 different plays where I was like, wow, that's a little bit over the top. And listen, I said it during the game. They were trying to physically intimidate the Buccaneers. And frankly, I think they did. I think if the Bucs look in the mirror, they're going to have to say, Alex Kappa, that was not your best day. And I say this as a football critic, and I'm not taking personal shots at guys. This is not, football's a very obviously violent game. I hate to say, a guy's got punked or they got this or that. Look at me. I would be destroyed in one play if I was out there. Mm-hmm. And I'm a pretty big guy. This is no for the faint of heart. But when you have to compare apples to apples, they beat up the Bucs.
Yeah,
they beat them up pretty good.
And I think I've been trying to think,
and that was their intent.
Their intent. Yeah, and I've been trying to think of a team, that's probably given the Bucs this much of a fit in a long time. And can you draw any comparisons to back in the day with the Eagles, a team giving somebody fits?
Yeah,
I know this is
absolutely.
This is a bigger sample size, and just like the Bucs did then, and the Bucs did last year, I thought they got over it, in the playoffs. And I guess there's another chapter to this now.
It reminds me of a pretty good story. The first time I ever met Jason Whitlock, he used to be a national football writer for the Kansas City Star. After I think it was the second or third loss in Philadelphia, the Bucs got just destroyed, like 31-9 or something like that. I think it was Keyshawn. Was it Keyshawn? So this was like the year before the Super Bowl. This is Keyshawn talking at his locker, and Whitlock was standing back there and is like, he's yelling out, and there's a scrum of people around Keyshawn's locker, and he's yelling out, Keyshawn, you calling out the coaches? You calling out the coaches? Is that what you're doing? Is that what you're doing? And he was loud until he got an answer. And Keyshawn was calling out the coaches, by the way. So but Philadelphia, to your point, had our number physically, mentally, everything. And right now, football, when you get down to it, football is a physical game, and the most physical team is usually going to win with all the bells and whistles and all the the offensive friendly rules and everything else. The baddest team normally wins, and I think the Bucs, if they're honest with themselves, that film session, they went through a lot of soul searching, and I think they also came out of it going, those guys were taking cheap shots. They came at us. They wanted to ruin our season. They wanted to injure players. I listen. You're not going to hear the guys talk publicly about it, and the fact that Rondé tweeted that out. Do you have the actual tweet?
Yeah. He had hit on Chris Godwin. Must chance. Guys have no respect for the future of their fellow brothers when they do that shit.
Yep.
And he tried to do it again in Gronk in the second half. Bad ball, man.
Wow. That is retweetable, no doubt. That is, trust me. I can see Rondé watching the film and going over that, throwing shit, dropping F-bombs at the screen. That's it right there. That's going to be the biggest news of the day today. And he's 100% right. And thank God he said it. And you go back and look at the Gronk play.
Yeah, I got it right here. And you see him right there go in.
And see him. Did Rondé tweet that out too? Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you see does it show when Gronk got up? Gronk, look, he gets up and he looks to see who it was. Was that after?
That was
the
after.
Godwin play?
That was after.
What a punk ass move. I said it during the game, but I didn't play the game at that level, so I don't have hardly any of the credibility on to have when he says that. When he says that, that's big. That's big. And if Rondé is saying it, if Rondé is saying that, you can bet your ass every one of the Buccaneers is saying it as well. In that, and there is, if these two teams were to meet in the playoffs, you want to talk about a bloodbath. And I'll be interested to see if the league gets involved in this. If they do, it's going to be back channel, and they're going to want to keep this very private. But there's no question about it. And remember when Brady went up to Dennis Allen?
Yeah,
that's what that was about. You could just tell when you go back and watch the game. Well, go back and watch the game again and look at the aftermath of every play. Guys chirping. Look at how the Saints are playing. Because I'm here to tell you that any team, any game, if they decide they want to go out and do that and hurt players and start going at knees and stuff like that, they can make that decision. Any team can do it, but it's a bitch ball. Like the Rondé's talking about, you have no respect for your brother when you're doing that. And I'm going to tell you what, PJ Williams, that's going to come back and bite you right in the knee. And this whole thing, if this was for Jameis, and I saw there was a little clip from Mark Ingram after the game. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Him walking off about eating W's. This for Jameis. And that's, this is the franchise whose head coach, oversaw Bounty Gate.
Yeah.
So let's, that same guy, same dude.
The more you say it, I wasn't on that train when I first saw it, but the last 2 days, I'm ready to say I definitely think it might have been intentional. I really do.
Yeah. I think
there is a theory of getting back for Jameis. Yeah. I really do.
Boy, that when you start opening up that can of worms between divisional opponents.
I tell you what, man, I think rivalries nowadays are so watered down across sports.
True.
This is one that I think is elevating to that stature.
It is now.
It really is.
Yeah. Man, that's that Rondé tweet. That is big freaking news right there. That is huge. I'm kind of taken aback a little bit, but that's gonna resonate. That is going to resonate throughout the sports world. All right. Well, let's get into that part of it right now with some of the sound that we have teed up here for you. Bruce Arians did speak yesterday, and this is him talking about the Godwin injury. And I'm not sure if this is the part where he talks about whether it was a clean hit or not, but let's listen in.
I'll play that one.
Okay.
Yeah, you feel bad for him because he was having such a great year, and the type of hit it was totally legal. But I think that's one of the things we have to look in the offseason. We're so concerned about hitting people in the head that we're getting a lot of knee injuries now because of that type of tackle. But it is legal and wasn't a bad play at all. But, yeah, you just feel bad for Chris.
Huh. I wonder if Bruce will change his tune after Rondé's tweet. I think obviously the coaches cannot be the ones to stoke these fires. And I do believe the NFL will take care of it behind closed doors. What's the other one?
The other one was just him announcing the injury.
But let's hear from Brady. You got the Brady quote, him talking about the hit, because Brady went on his podcast last night, the Let's Go podcast.
I'll cue it up here.
Okay, let me know when you got it ready. We're kind of doing this on the fly now that Rondé has retweeted this because this is big news. And I'll read his tweet again as I retweet it here. Ka-ching, ka-ching. This hit on CG12, Chris Godwin must chance. I mean, he must have mean must change.
Yes, change.
Guys have no respect for the future of their fellow brothers when you do that shit. And he tried to do it again to Gronk in the second half. Bad ball, man. Get well, Chris. You are that dude. Wow. That's a big deal. That is a big deal. And you can tell he's pissed off about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna text him here in the break.
Yeah, and this is Tom Brady from Let's Go yesterday with Jim Gray. We're gonna pick it up here, kind of in the middle, but he's gonna start talking about Chris Godwin here, the injury.
And in Chris's case, I think what he's gone through and how he's risen from kind of a, mid-level draft pick to one of the great receivers in the NFL has been unbelievable to watch. And just being with him for the last 2 years, He works so hard. He puts so much into it. He is a great team player, a consummate professional. Everyone hates to see him go down. So there's an emotional aspect to that too that we all got to deal with, knowing that one of our most dedicated guys isn't going to be on the field with us for the rest of the year, which is tough. And he's got a tough road to overcome, and I know he will because it's the kind of guy he is. But obviously our hearts are with him. We love him. There's nothing more we love than having him out there with us. So tough for everyone to swallow such a tough injury.
I'm Jim Gray along with Tom Brady. Let's Go is brought to you by GoldenNuggetCasino.com.
Gotta
Now
get that in
online
there.
in Michigan and New Jersey.
Yeah,
Play
we
your
thank
favorite
them
online
for the
slots
courtesy.
and table games like blackjack, roulette, and so much more with over 700 games to choose from. Only at GoldenNuggetCasino.com.
Protect your unit, though.
Tom, it's a tough time with
Protect
all of
your
these
unit.
injuries as you get ready to embark upon the most important part of the season with it all still being in front of you. Coach Arian said 7 starters are out. That's a lot of guys to start replacing at this point of the year. How do you maintain a positive attitude and try and get other people into those positions while guys try and heal?
It's part of the sport, which makes it difficult, and I know every sport has its challenges with physical injuries. Football, demolition derby, and even though, you may win a game, you may lose a significant player, or you lose a game and you lose a significant player. Sometimes you lose a game and don't lose anybody, and that would be better than winning the game and losing players. So it's just a crazy game, man. It's just a crazy game. A very demanding sport. Chris got hit, in the knees yesterday, which is a play that I think they ought to take out of the game of football from a receiver standpoint. I've kind of talked to the PA about it for a while about, and I'd like to speak to the rules competition committee at some point this offseason. I've seen that hit too many times where a defenseless pass catcher is in the process of catching a ball, then he's hit by the defender. And, a lot of the defenders will say, well, we can't hit him in the head anymore. Well, the point is you can't hit anyone in the head anymore, and you can't hit anyone in the knees anymore, except for receivers. You can hit them in the knees, which doesn't make any sense to me. You can't hit a defensive lineman in the knees. You can't hit a punter in the knees. You can't hit a quarterback in the knees. You can't hit a DB in the knees, except we're somehow allowing, hits on defenseless receivers in the knees. So, it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be really thought out. And, hopefully it really impacts guys' careers. And Chris, I know he'll overcome it. It's a tough rehab, but, you tear your ACL, that's a lifelong injury. And I'm sure almost every pass catcher in the NFL would prefer hit to the head over a hit to the knees. I certainly would. I'd take that, a million out of a million.
Wow.
That's
a million
that's
out
a
of a
telling
million
statement right there.
A million out of a million. Given what we know about CTE, that's a heavy statement. And it's like you said, it is a career-long injury. You're never the same. Never. I don't care how much work you do. It's not like Tommy John where you come back and you're better. You're never the same. Now, guys have returned and played great football. And Adrian Peterson, I think, is outlier.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a freak.
I mean, Brady did it too, but
Yeah.
still different.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
quarterback.
this is a totally different situation. But you're always going to be a little gun shy. You're always going to be, you're just not going to be as good as you were.
A better example, maybe, was it Odell? He had the ACL, right?
Yeah, he did.
He had the ACL. Ain't been the same since.
Took a long time to come back.
And kind of around the same age as Chris when he had it.
Yeah. And don't forget, Chris is a workout warrior. And he is, when you're in great shape like that, but before the injury happens, your rehab is less. You're going to be stronger after. I'm not stronger, but you're going to have a better outcome than guys who weren't. So everything is in his favor. He's got the right mindset, but man, they do have to do something about this. That seems like, because remember what happened to Gronk? Happened to Gronk as well. Remember, he just got absolutely destroyed. His knee, he planted in the ground. I didn't think he would ever play again after that. That was a bad one. You just can't take it. It's bad. But Rondé calling it out. Wow, that's a big deal. That's going to resonate. All right, some other issues we got to get to. This is Bruce talking about backups needing to step up, and never has it been more true. This is, the Bucs had great injury luck last year. now their depth is going to be really, really tested down the stretch?
No, not really. I mean, it's just a matter of opportunities. When your opportunities come, you got to be ready. You know, I thought Rowe ran really well. He caught the ball good. And so, yeah, for the other guys, OJ gets a hand on the ball. I see him make that play. But no, it's just a matter of, you know, same thing with those young receivers. You know, they got to be able to play beat tight man-to-man coverage, which the Saints are going to play.
All right, we will take a quick break. When we come back, 3-minute break, Scott Reynolds will join us. We'll get his take on this and how this Rondé Barber tweet is going to resonate and how this ramps up the rivalry between these two teams. Stay with us.
Who wants free mobile service? I do, and you can get 30 gigs a month from companies like AT&T Service, T-Mobile. Great service. Keep your number and get free mobile service. It's part of the emergency broadband benefit from the stimulus bill. 87% of America qualifies. So if you think you make too much money or whatever, just go to jpcares.info and find out. Take you a few minutes. jpcares.info to find out if you qualify for free cell service. Get it now before it's all used up. Is your health care way too expensive? Well, with the new Biden administration, healthcare laws have changed dramatically. Now you can get healthcare insurance through the Affordable Care Act for little or no cost to you. In fact, with the new laws, 90% of Americans qualify for reduced or free healthcare. Great plans like Florida Blue. That's my carrier. Absolutely love them. I'm paying $600 less after making the call. 877-652-0244. The representative will walk you through the whole process. Just get some basic information on your income, number of kids, and then they'll find a plan that best fits your needs. They know all the intricacies of these new laws. They will do all the work. You save tons of money. This opportunity will not last long, and you'll have to wait till 2022 to get the deal. So give them a call. It's real health insurance, free doctor visits, free blood work, no deductibles. 877-652-0244. 877-652-0244.
JP here for my friend, attorney Christopher Palermo. If you are having issues with a claim on your homeowner's insurance from a sinkhole, storm damage, water intrusion, defective stucco, and construction defects, or any other issue, Christopher is your man. These big insurance companies didn't get rich paying out what you deserve. Chris founded his practice in 2009 with a passion to help all Floridians with disputes where they were forced to take on the powerful and needed a champion in their corner. Chris wants to make sure you will receive the most aggressive and compassionate representations. He has recovered millions in settlements on behalf of his clients facing defective stucco damage and other construction issues. So call Chris, mention the JP Show, and he will give you a free consultation. That's 813-221-5636, or go to PalermoPA.com. He's a fifth-generation Tampanian, graduate of Jesuit High School and the University of Florida, and he cares deeply about you and the community. That's 221-5636 or PalermoPA.com.
Are you in the market for a refinance or looking for a new home? You got to call my man, Fitz the Mortgage Guy, Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. I have got literally a notebook here of testimonials on what a great job he's done for so many of our listeners. Scott saved me $1,200 up front. Scott paid for my appraisal. Scott got my PMI taken off. Scott helped me pay off my car. They didn't give him money, but he refinanced everything for these folks and showed them a great strategy to get rid of a lot of their debt. He's not just a mortgage broker. He's like a financial counselor, and he's passionate to get you.
So courteous to me for somebody who's so nervous. And it's Christmas time, like you said. If you're thinking about popping the question, you need to go to Gold and Diamond Source.
It's the Jewelry Supercenter, fully stocked, fully staffed, and yes, just a short drive from downtown Tampa or wherever you're coming from, right there on Ulmerton Road. Avoid the madness at the malls. And whether you're a first-time buyer or looking for that 10-carat custom design, they have it all. 9 jewelers in-house ready to make your dreams come true. Even layaways, 100% interest-free financing up to 5 years. Shop now for your best selection at the Gold and Diamond Source and make your lady wonderfully happy, like Nick did. That's absolutely. Shop anytime online at thegoldanddiamond.com.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on Fan Stream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back. JP Peterson Show brought to you by the great folks at the law offices of Christopher Palermo. Find them at palermopa.com. Also, Italiano Insurance. Don't forget to bring by your donations for Metropolitan Ministries. You can bring it right to their office on Swan and Howard in South Tampa, or you can bring them right over to Metropolitan Ministries as well. It's a great time to give. All right, let's check in with our good friend Scott Reynolds from the Pewter Reports. What's up, my friend? How are you? Merry Christmas.
Good. Merry Christmas to you, JP. How are you?
Well, you know, the Saints came in and gave us a nice little holiday greeting, so to speak. And we were just talking about this. I don't know if you saw what Rondé Barber tweeted out about 9:53 this morning, but this is going to resonate. Did you see it? I'll read it to you. I'll read it. And said this hit on CG12 must change. Guys have no respect for the future of their fellow brothers when they do that shit. And he tried to do it again to Gronk in the second half. Bad ball, man. Get well, Chris. You are that dude. Now, it's one thing for, jackass JP to call out PJ Williams for a dirty hit. When Rondé Barber does it, it will resonate throughout the league. It should resonate throughout the Saints organization. And they have some explaining to do. That, I was rewatching the game last night, and you could see it. Now, and I called it out when I was watching the game. You could see it all night long. I'm sorry. They came to injure players. They came to end the Bucs season. And they physically beat up the Buccaneers. I mean, that's just my take on it. Your take.
Yeah. I haven't studied that play enough to really determine if that was a malicious hit or what. I mean, I think the league has gotten so carried away with these strike zones, right? It's like if you go up high, you're hitting a defenseless receiver. If you go down low, you're costing him the rest of the season. And it's like what we have to remember is that we have two variables on every play: the tackler and the guy being tackled. And none of those guys are constant. Neither one of them is constant.
Right.
They're both moving. One's trying to hit, the other one's trying to avoid getting hit. And so it's difficult. I struggle with targeting calls in college. Yeah. Because so many times it's like at the last second, you've got a runner, whether it's a quarterback, whether it's, a running back, whatever, lowering his head to either initiate contact or dip a hit. And all of a sudden the defender, with a split second, gets nailed with targeting. And so I'm not saying that the guy was not being malicious. I'm not saying he was. I think you could probably make an argument for either way. It's just unfortunate what happened to Chris Godwin because he really is the offense. The offense runs through him. That's Bruce Arians' system, and he's just a perfect player for this system. And had this happen in the contract, I think the big thing is he wants to stay in Tampa Bay regardless, and the Bucs want to keep him regardless. So I don't think this is going to have a huge effect on contract talks. I think that maybe the worst thing is just him getting ready for the 2022 season. Is he going to be ready for camp? Is he going to have to miss training camp? That's the big question right now.
Yeah, and I think he will. Chris, as I know Chris, nobody works harder. He's in as good a physical shape as anybody. He will bust his ass to get back, and I think he'll return to being the player that he was. Will it be 5% less? Maybe. Will it 30% less? Yep. No freaking way. No freaking way. It's going to be 5, maybe 10%. And if that's the case, I think he's a top 5 receiver in the league, and the Bucs need to honor that and pay him accordingly. That's that. When you talk about integrity of a franchise, it's not about a COVID card. Okay. It's about this.
Right.
This is the integrity of the franchise. What are you going to do in this situation? And the Bucs better do the right thing.
Yeah, and I think that they will.
I do
think
too.
Both sides want the steal to happen. Chris did not mind being on the franchise tag.
Right,
It wasn't
exactly.
like he was going to hold out or anything.
Didn't bitch
They're
about
on
it.
the same page.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's going to get taken care of, and the Bucs love Chris. They want him to stay.
Yeah, I totally agree. Speaking of that, the AB situation, you heard what Arian said yesterday. I could give a shit what other people think. And listen, I always go back to Bobby Bowden saying that about, Sebastian Janikowski when he was, he broke curfew in New Orleans and everybody wanted him to sit out a national championship game. And he's like, we'll take care of the punishment. The people want him. And that's what these other people that want him not to play. They're not taking the Bucs fans, the organization, the other players, the coaches, everybody that's worked their ass off to get where they are in this season into account to make some, questionable moralistic call here. He did the right thing. He's supporting his team. He's supporting his players. And based on the fact that AB has been a freaking choir boy since he's got here.
Well, yeah. And I think the thing too is if you had any altruistic fans out there, you Buccaneer fans, I'm not talking about like a local columnist. I'm talking about Buccaneer fans that, wanted the Bucs to do the right thing, and cut AB. I bet you the second half of that Bucs Saints game, seeing Tyler Johnson not be able to separate or get any yards after catch, Scotty Miller not being able to separate and help out Tom Brady, Jalen Darden not being able to run a route and catch any of the 3 targets. I bet you that some of those altruistic fans will be rooting hard for AB catching passes on Sunday in Carolina.
Damn right.
Because if this team is going to go to the playoffs and do anything, they're going to need AB to step up and not just, play 30 to 35 plays like Bruce Arians suggested. My guess is he plays 50 snaps on Sunday and probably better come away with 100 yards and a touchdown at least to help Tom Brady out, because I did have a chance to watch the Panthers-Bills game. And again, you're looking at kind of an impotent offense when it comes to Carolina, just like the Saints. I mean, gosh, it was embarrassing they lost that game 9-0 because the Saints' offense is so bad. Carolina's is very much the same way. The problem is just like the Saints, the Panthers actually have a pretty decent defense. That pass rush is no joke. 36 sacks. Hassan Reddick has 11. Brian Burns has, I think, 9 or 9.5. They can present some of the same challenges to the Bucs offense that the Saints defense did. So this could very much be a very low-scoring dogfight type game. They're going to need AB to really step up and be head and shoulders better than Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, and Jalen Darden, JP. There's no doubt.
Scott Reynolds, Pewter Report, joining us here. His 2-point conversion is out. It is a must-read each and every week on the pewterreport.com, so check it out. I think you guys are a little bit on the same wavelength as me as well when it comes to this Bucs Saints rivalry. Yes, obviously injuries impacted that game in a great way. But I just, at this point, you're 0-6 against, and Bruce Arians and his coaching staff is 0-6 against Sean Payton and Dennis Allen in that group. And they obviously have your number from an offense versus their defense standpoint. How much of this is on this game plan? I saw no screens. I saw no variety in the calls. I thought it was probably the worst game plan. And I know when guys go out, it affects what you can do. But I'm sorry, I haven't seen any ingenuity in this rivalry as coaching goes. They've been out coached almost every single time, except maybe the playoff game, but that was more skewed because of turnovers.
Oh yeah, no, but you did you miss the flea flicker, JP, on Sunday night? There wasn't one. Oh, sorry, I just imagined one, but there wasn't actually one. What
about the jet sweep?
The halfback pass, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so there were, all right. So I'm still imagining plays that didn't actually happen. You mentioned a jet sweep. That would have been nice too. The thing is listen, even Sean Payton, right? Go back to one of the best Bucs defensive performances of last year, right? That was in New Orleans. That was in that playoff game, right? The Bucs defense forced 4 takeaways. That they ended Drew Brees' career with an interception from Mike Edwards. They won 30-20 in New Orleans. That was a great defensive game plan by Todd Bowles and great playmaking by the Bucs players. But if you recall in that game, the only touchdown against the Bucs defense came not from Drew Brees, but from James Winston.
Right.
They did the trick play. He
Flea
threw
flicker.
the touchdown pass to Traquan Smith, and I don't know that the Buccaneers have any trick plays in their playbook, and they probably should use some.
Yeah.
Because in instances like that, they can work.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see.
You see them all over the league. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like if you're trying to beat man coverage, you do need some sort of trickeration sometimes, at least to get them to stop and think, right?
Yeah.
And so I agree. I didn't see any imagination from that. And I think the other criminal thing is you go back and look, and I'm not exactly a Rojo apologist, nor am I a huge fan of Rojo. I think he is what he is. He's a backup running back in this league. At the same time, he was your most productive player. And I asked Bruce Arians about that yesterday in the Zoom call. And I said, Rojo did not get a touch or a target after getting 71 yards. And his last play was a catch at the 13-minute mark, 32-minute mark.
That's awful.
In the fourth quarter, when the Saints were only up 6-0. So one play and the Bucs take the lead, right? You need one play and it's 7-6 Buccaneers. And for this guy not to get any touches, and guess what? The running game was working, but they didn't go to it. And you even heard Arians say, "Yeah, we probably should have ran some more." It's like, no shit, you should have run it more. I mean, I just did not understand the game plan at all, because the passing game was not working. It was not Brady's fault. I don't criticize Brady for his receivers not getting open. The offensive line did not do a great job, but I think some of those sacks were coverage sacks. But try the running game, and I think sometimes the quarterback whisperer, sometimes the former first round quarterback play caller,
right,
and sometimes the greatest quarterback on earth, they kind of forget about the running game sometimes. And I'm not saying it would have worked, but I'm just saying when they did do it, it did work. Their 30-yard run by Rojo was the longest play of the game on offense. So I would have liked to have seen, certainly the situation dictated the fact you could run the ball, because you need one scoring drive to take the lead. So I just don't get the game plan by Byron Leftwich.
No.
If I'm a Jacksonville Jaguars fan and I'm watching Sunday Night Football,
Yikes.
and I'm looking at that, and you have national media members that are connecting dots between Jaguars and former Jaguars quarterback Byron Leftwich, which I think is kind of a stretch too. I don't think Shad Khan has got any. I don't think he's looking at that saying, we need to bring Byron Leftwich home. Byron Leftwich was there for 4 years, I think,
right,
before he was a bust.
No, you bring him there because he's a young, talented coordinator, and he can develop Trevor Lawrence, not because he won a playoff game there. Obviously.
Okay, but that's my second point. Who has he developed? Tom Brady?
No, yeah, exactly.
I mean,
well, he could bring the Brady knowledge. He can say, well, this is what I learned from Tom Brady, and this is what I can pass on to you, what he learned. I mean, I think there's value there.
True.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying though is he spent 1 year out there working in Arizona with Josh Rosen. That didn't really work out too well. His 1 year with Jameis Winston, it was the best of Winston. It was the worst of Winston, all in the same season, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
So I'm a little curious about what exactly Byron Leftwich would bring to Jacksonville. But my point is, if you're a Jaguars fan and you're watching that big goose egg on Sunday night, you have to be thinking, wow, I don't know if we want this guy.
Yeah. No, and again, how do you slow down a crazy pass rush? Well, you screen them. And you draw play them, and you run the football, and we did none of that. We did not. No, we ran the football a little bit, but did none of those other things. I thought it was a very, very curious game plan, and the Bucs the coaching staff needs to take it a little bit more heat, I think, for this matchup with the Saints.
I agree.
Tell me how you think the Bucs now move forward, like in terms of how do they use Scotty Miller? I mean, you go back to at the beginning of last year, Scotty Miller was averaging about 6 targets a game before AB got here in the slot. So I think that, I think Godwin out, I think you move him right in there. Perriman, I think, is maybe a better outside choice than Tyler Johnson right now. AB obviously plays the outside. You could also move AB inside. How would you play it? What do you think?
Well, I think given the fact that you've got Bruce Arians wanting to run the ball at least, on occasion, you're going to need Tyler Johnson in the slot. That's more of his natural position because he can do the crackback blocks on linebackers and safeties that's required from that Chris Godwin position. So I think Johnson is the natural fit there. And then, when they do go 4 wide and it's 3rd and long, then you can move Scotty Miller in there. You can move AB inside to try to create different matchups. But I think you're right. Perriman is an outside receiver. He'll start opposite AB. I think Perriman probably replaces Mike Evans as the X receiver on the weak side of the formation, and he will platoon with Scotty Miller, and they'll try to run those vertical routes with Miller.
Okay.
And then I think you're going to see AB, be the Z receiver, which is the flanker. He'll be on the strong side of the formation, which is where he had some fantastic games at the start of the season. So I think it's Johnson inside and the combination of Perriman and Miller outside, and then on the other side you've got AB. I don't really want to see much of Jalen Darden. I just don't.
Yeah.
I just have not seen anything to get me excited about this guy.
No, me neither. He, his kick returns, he's looking for a place to lay down. He's a fumble waiting to happen back there. Get him the hell out. Yeah. I see nothing there.
Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like if you're going to try to be creative and see again, it's like I was a little befuddled as to why they didn't try more play action against the Saints. I was a little befuddled why they didn't try some wide receiver screens. It maybe not the outside screens, right? With what the Saints were doing with their aggressive press man coverage right at the line of scrimmage, and when you lose guys like Godwin and Evans, they're not just good pass catchers. They're also physical guys out there, and they were without Perriman. So maybe the wide receiver screen wouldn't have worked because the Saints defender can, blast through a block and drop the receiver for a loss. But the tunnel screens that the Bucs have incorporated,
really good,
where it's a slant inside and you have the offensive line working in the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a creative wrinkle we saw this year from Leftwich. And, if you've got a lot of pass rush, especially coming up the middle, which is where it was coming against the Saints, boy, a tunnel screen would have been, a nice little wrinkle that could have been used on Sunday night too.
Yeah, absolutely. There was just no variety at all. It was the same crap, trying to find the one-on-one matchup. Well, your guys aren't winning. You got to do something. Right. You got to scheme some guys open here. It's you got to be able to be nimble and adjust in the middle of a game when you have injuries. And we show no proclivity to do that whatsoever. Scotty, how do you think these other injuries are going to play out? I know you're not a doctor, but play one on radio here. Seems to me Evans is more of the hamstring. You just never know, right? Fournette, hammy too. Exactly. You just never know. Lavonte David, that's a huge loss as well. If he can't come back, what are you thinking?
Right. If I'm the Buccaneers, all they have to do is win. And I think they're even at a combination now where at this stage of the season, a win by the Buccaneers or losses by the Saints and Carolina and the Panthers will give them the NFC South title by default, right? So I think it's just a matter of time before the Bucs clinch. It's just, are they going to take it by winning, or are they going to kind of go in the back door by other teams losing? I think it happens either way. So knowing that, and knowing that right now, it would be great to get as the best seed as possible, but you're already going to get one home playoff game by winning the division. So I think that's already cinched up. I think strategically, the key for Arians, and I know he's like, we can't worry about January, we have to worry about December. But at the same time, you're not going to have Chris Godwin. There's no Godwin to the rescue.
Right.
So you need Mike Evans to the rescue. It doesn't make any sense to go into the playoffs and have a playoff game where you're forced to start Breshad, Perriman, Antonio Brown, and Tyler Johnson without Mike Evans. So I would rest Mike Evans this week, not even take a chance.
Oh hell yeah!
And maybe have him come back for the last game of the season to get that 1,000 yards and get ready for the postseason. That's the thing that concerns me the most, because can this team win without Chris Godwin? Yes, they can. It's not going to be easy, but I think with AB, Gronk, and Evans, they've got enough weapons. I've always said, if you have 3 out of the 4 on the field, you're good. The problem is when you're down to 2 out of the 4, that's where things turn into like the Washington game. So I would rest Levante, start Kevin Minter. I think you can still beat the Panthers with Minter in there. And I think that with AB coming back with Perriman and Gronk, I think you have enough to beat Carolina this week. You rest Mike Evans at all costs. Don't put him out there and have him go from a hamstring strain to a hamstring tear, because then this team is not going to go anywhere without Evans and Godwin in the lineup.
Totally agree, 100%. All right, Scotty, tell everybody how they can get the great content at Pewter Report and what you guys got going on right now. It's playoff time.
It is playoff time, JP, and there's a lot of injury news that's going to be coming down this week, so make sure you're locked on to pewterreport.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Pewter Report. And you can also check out our content on YouTube at Pewter Report TV on YouTube. Subscribe and like our videos there. That helps us out with the algorithms. And we've got podcasts Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and then also Sundays, game days. We've got a pregame, an in-game, and a post-game podcast to get you caught up on all of the Bucs news, win or loss, and all the injuries and all the records this team's breaking. So make sure you visit Pewter Report TV on YouTube and hit subscribe.
100%. That's where to go to get the best information, pewterreport.com and their YouTube channel. All right, Scotty, listen, you and the family have a wonderful Christmas, and have a great Christmas season, and we will chat with you next week.
Looking forward to it. Merry Christmas to you, JP, and all your listeners out there, and we appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Have a great week.
Thanks. Great Scott Reynolds right there. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll hear a little bit more from Tom Brady, a little bit more from Bruce Arians as well, and we'll get into some of the things that went wrong the other night and how they got to fix it moving ahead against Carolina. Stay with us.
JP here for Roof Max. And if you own a home or business with an asphalt shingle roof, listen up. Shingles are made from a petrochemical, just like the roads, so they get old, get brittle, and have to be replaced for tens of thousands of dollars. But not anymore. Remember this name, Roof Max. They have created a natural bio oil that is professionally sprayed on a dried out roof. It doesn't clean it, coat it, or seal it. It actually penetrates the shingle and brings back its bendability and weatherproofing properties to almost new. So the question is, does it work? Yeah, the research was done by Ohio State University independently, and it's clinically proven to work. It's guaranteed for up to 15 years. Now, one of the sharks on Shark Tank invested in this, so you know it's great, and they've successfully rejuvenated tens of thousands of roofs. So yes, it worked. So don't shell out 20 grand for a new roof. Call RoofMax at 352-559-9981 or go to roofmaxnorthflorida.com. That's 352-559-9981. Get it done for a fraction of the price of a new roof, guaranteed. Are you selling your home or refinancing? JP here for Greenleaf Title. You choose the title company, not the realtor, and it makes a difference. You want a reputable company that will make sure your title is safe and secure. There are a lot of scammers out there right now. So go with a trusted company like Greenleaf Title. Plus, they will close anywhere, folks. They'll send a limo to pick you up to come to the closing. Yep, the great JP Limo Closing is back. All you got to do is give them a call at 727-258-6005 or go to greenleaftitle.com. We'll set up the limo for you. They'll come pick you up. Heck, we even picked up one couple, took them to Black Rock Restaurant, one of our favorite advertisers, and then to the closing. That's how they do it at Greenleaf Title. Great service. We'll close anywhere. The lowest fees in the business. 727-258-6005 or go to greenleaftitle.com. That's greenleaftitle.com. Who wants free mobile service? I do. And you can get 30 gigs a month from companies like AT&T Service, T-Mobile. Great service. Keep your number and get free mobile service. It's part of the emergency broadband benefit from the stimulus bill. 87% of America qualifies. So if you think you make too much money or whatever, Just go to jpcares.info and find out. It'll take you a few minutes. jpcares.info to find out if you qualify for free cell service. Get it now before it's all used up.
JP here for my friend, attorney Christopher Palermo. If you are having issues with a claim on your homeowner's insurance from a sinkhole, storm damage, water intrusion, defective stucco, and construction defects, or any other issue, Christopher is your man. These big insurance companies didn't get rich paying out what you deserve. Chris founded his practice in 2009 with a passion to help all Floridians with disputes where they were forced to take on the powerful and needed a champion in their corner. Chris wants to make sure you will receive the most aggressive and compassionate representations. He has recovered millions in settlements on behalf of his clients facing defective stucco damage and other construction issues. So call Chris, mention the JP Show, and he will give you a free consultation. That's 813-221-5636, or go to PalermoPA.com. He's a fifth-generation Tampanian, graduate of Jesuit High School and the University of Florida, and he cares deeply about you and the community. That's 221-5636 or PalermoPA.com.
Are you in the market for a refinance or looking for a new home? You got to call my man, Fitz the Mortgage Guy, Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. I have got literally a notebook here of testimonials on what a great job he's done for so many of our listeners. Scott saved me $1,200 up front. Scott paid for my appraisal. Scott got my PMI taken off. Scott helped me pay off my car. Well, he didn't give them money, but he refinanced everything for these folks and showed them a great strategy to get rid of a lot of their debt. He's not just a mortgage broker. He's like a financial counselor, and he's passionate to get you the lowest rate and keep you from paying those upfront lender fees. You know those folks that say, we'll pay your closing costs? Well, then they come back and hit you with all these other fees. Folks, go to a local guy who's got a great reputation, been in the business for 20 years here, done 3,000 local mortgages. Scott Fitzgerald. Email him, scott@amstampa.com. That's scott@amstampa.com.
JP, Santa, and young St. Nick get us right over here. My partner for the Gold and Diamond Source. You hear that? Christmas music. It's Christmas time. You just popped a question to your lady from the Gold and Diamond Source diamond that you got.
Yes, I did. Golden Diamond Source, the best place to go get your diamond for an engagement. They helped me out so much. They were so courteous to me for somebody who was so nervous. And it's Christmas time, like you said. If you're thinking about popping the question, you need to go to Gold and Diamond Source.
It's the Jewelry Supercenter, fully stocked, fully staffed, and yes, just a short drive from downtown Tampa or wherever you're coming from, right there on Ulmerton Road. Avoid the madness at the malls. And whether you're a first-time buyer or looking for that 10-carat custom design, they have it all. 9 jewelers in-house ready to make your dreams come true. Even layaways, 100% interest-free financing up to 5 years. Shop now for your best selection at the Gold and Diamond Source and make your lady wonderfully happy like Nick did. That's absolutely. Shop anytime online at thegoldanddiamond.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. TJ Rives coming up at 11:15. We got a lot of great stuff to get to here. We're going to talk about NHL and COVID and what they need to do to keep the season going. Some very disturbing tweets out there and trends out there we're going to talk about, and also the Lightning at the Vegas tonight. I can't wait to watch it. It's been a while since we've seen our Lightning. So we'll talk about that in just a second. The JP Peterson Show brought to you by our good friend Christopher Palermo. Attorney, if you're having issues with a claim on your homeowner's insurance from a sinkhole, storm damage, defective stucco, and construction defects, that's one of his go-to wheelhouses right there. He is your man. These big insurance companies, folks, they do not want to pay you what your claim is worth. He will go to bat for you and give you very compassionate and aggressive representation. That's what you need. He has recovered millions in settlements on behalf of clients facing defective stucco damage and construction issues. And right now, folks, with all the building that's going on, builders are looking for shortcuts. They can't get the supplies that they want. They're not going to tell you about this. They're just going to finish your home. So if you're in the process of building a home, keep your eyes on what's going on and go ahead and get Chris as a representation and let your builder know right now that you're not putting up with any of the shenanigans, okay? 813-221-5636 or go to PalermoPA.com. He's a fifth-generation Tampanian, Jesuit High graduate. Shout out to Jesuit State Championship. We're going to get Matt Thompson on here soon. And the University of Florida. He cares about you and he cares about the community, folks. So call 221-5636, 5636 or go to PalermoPA.com. All right, so this has got to be one of the worst tweets I think I've ever seen from a national writer, and it just kind of just goes to show you the attitude of people at ESPN, among others. But the old puck daddy, Greg Wyshynski, if I can pull this up correctly, I'll just paraphrase it. Basically, here's what he said. He goes, "Hear me out. The winner of tonight's Wild versus Stars game wins the Stanley Cup, and we all come back to try this again in September." How's that strike you as a tweet? To which I replied, "Yeah, all hockey fans and players go hide in the basement until all this is over. That's very much the nature of our game, right?" Wrong. Go talk to Yzerman and get some perspective from a super smart, courageous leader. That's how you lead. You don't go and hide in the basement, Greg Wyshynski. I mean, you would talk. This is the product of the fear-mongering of the president, number one, who came out and said, for the unvaccinated, you're on for a dark winter of death and overwhelming our hospitals. Every part of what he said is completely untrue. Vaccinated people are getting the same issues with unvaccinated people as far as getting sick. Hospitalizations are down. The Omicron variant is very weak. To come out and just fear-monger and scare like that and then target a subgroup of the unvaccinated is about as horrible a leadership tactic you can possibly imagine. Is, Scott Atlas last night, who was the White House director when Trump figured out Fauci was a complete fraud and needed somebody to come in with some actual perspective and science, brought Scott Atlas in from Stanford University. And he said it last night. This Omicron variant is actually, from a scientific perspective, a good thing, because this is how viruses actually mutate into weakness and eventually die out. He said the scientists should be actually celebrating this, that it's very contagious, but it's very, very weak. And with the vaccines that we have out right now and how many people that are vaccinated and all the treatments that we have now that are working so tremendously well, we should be talking about how this could be a great sign of coming out of the pandemic. But what does the president and these other fear-mongers around sports do? They want you to go hide in the basement again for this one. If you understand the science, folks, this is actually a good thing. Omicron is a sign of this virus weakening so much that it's not going to be something that is putting people in hospitals, overwhelming hospitals, which is the biggest bunch of BS. And for the president to say that is just, it's such horrible leadership. It's completely false. And then for everyone else in the media to parrot it just to create more crisis so people will watch your channel, it's such irresponsible reporting on so many levels. It's politicizing the virus once again. And now we're looking at hockey shutting down. We're looking at I think the NFL has taken an aggressive approach. We're not going to test asymptomatic players anymore. And by the way, with every one of these players, so many players getting Omicron now, it's going to clear the deck for them not to be tested the rest of the way. They won't have to worry about it. We got to just get over this hump in the NFL, and we're going to. I think it's going to be fine the rest of the way with what they're adopting now. If the NHL would just do the same, there wouldn't be any issues. And obviously the biggest impediment right now to whether they can finish the season is the Canadian government. In fact. And they're the most fear-mongering group, I think, maybe on the planet, maybe second to Australia's group. And right now we have basically one Canadian team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are in any way a factor in what I would call the Stanley Cup race. Would you agree with that? I mean, Winnipeg is currently fifth.
I would say the only other one that had a shot is Edmonton, and they've been struggling.
And Calgary and Edmonton are third and fourth in the West. Obviously, they have a shot, especially Edmonton. But listen, if I'm the NHL, you're not going to be able to work with this. And last year was a farce. Montreal was probably the worst team that the Lightning played in the playoffs because we had to separate our friends to the north.
It might be the worst team that's ever played in a Stanley Cup.
In the Stanley Cup final, maybe the worst team ever. So I would, you know what, if they don't want to play and they can't figure out how, you're literally asking a group of players who are pretty much secluded from the rest of your population. They come in on a bus. They're 100% vaccinated. They go into a closed area and play a hockey game, and then they leave. Can you please explain to me what kind of danger that is to your population? It actually goes against everything you're preaching. Get vaccinated, get vaccinated. They're all vaccinated. And you don't, I mean, if you can't handle that, F you. Kick them the hell out of the league. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's have some, like Yzerman says, let's have some common sense testing. We don't need to be testing asymptomatic players. We don't need to be doing this testing all the time until somebody has some symptoms, especially with this variant and nobody's getting sick. Everybody's sitting on the sidelines, sitting quarantined in a hotel room, healthy as a fucking horse. I mean, it's ridiculous. And you're going to shut down the league and kill all the jobs, the people that depend on this money. You're going to shut it down for this? For what? Because you can't cross the border? Screw them. Take this time and say, look, y'all don't want to play? Fine. We're not. Y'all go do whatever the hell you want to do. You want to have your own Canada Cup? Go do your thing. Go do your thing. Play in a bunch of empty stadiums and do your thing. We're going to play for the Stanley Cup down here. Okay? We're going to play the games, and we're going to move on with the season, move on with our lives. How about that? You know, Gary Bettman, have some backbone, and let's do this. This pandering to the Canadian government, which has completely ulterior motives and has politicized the whole damn thing, if that's going to hold your league hostage for the rest of the year, I say cut bait. You know, let them go ice fishing. There's too much at stake here. Too many guys need to get paid. Too many organizations need to move on. This is ridiculous. Sorry, Greg Wyshynski. We're not going to go hide in the basement until September. We're not going to do that. That's not what hockey players do. That's not what hockey fans do, except in Canada. No. And trust me, most of the Canadians don't want to go along with it either. They want to go to the hockey games. They want to live their lives. But this is ridiculous. And if they're going to be held hostage to the whims of the Canadian government, I'd say move on.
And that's the reason why the NHL, I said, was going to be at the most risk for their season. Not that they're going to cancel the season. I don't think they'll go that far. I don't think so. But the fact that the NFL is doing the new protocols where they're not testing asymptomatic vaccinated player, that's never going to happen in the NHL. It just won't, because they have to.
Why not?
They have to cater to Canada. They have to. And that is
no, they don't.
If the NHL,
they don't have to.
The NHL's bread and butter is in Canada. It is. For better or worse, it is. That's a whole huge portion of their fan base. They're going to cater to it, and they have to work with that government. Unfortunately, that's never going to allow that to happen. And I haven't heard a single player that's for this. By the way, every player across these leagues
want to play. They want to play. They're the ones in it.
Exactly. And the NHL, in particular, they're the league that's the closest to 100% vaccinated.
Yes.
I believe they have like a few stragglers. That's it. And most of them are boosted as well. I don't know what else you can ask them to do.
If the vaccines work, what are you afraid of? What are you accomplishing? How are you in any way making a dent in public health by these teams coming into Canada on their buses, going to their hotel rooms, playing in a controlled environment away from the fans? And you're not even going to have fans at games, so who cares? Make a scientific argument against that. Please do. I would love to hear it. That has any coherence and backed by data.
You're not going to hear it from me.
All right. We'll take a break and we'll come back. TJ Reeves going to join us. We'll jump in and talk some more Buccaneers. What the hell happened on Sunday night? How do the Bucs move forward? And he went to the fight on Saturday night, and his good buddy Peter Blake got a Rolex out of it. Wonder what TJ got out of it. We'll find out next. Stay with us. 3-minute break.
Who wants free mobile service? I do, and you can get 30 gigs a month from companies like AT&T Service, T-Mobile. Great service. Keep your number and get free mobile service. It's part of the emergency broadband benefit from the stimulus bill. 87% of America qualifies. So if you think you make too much money or whatever, just go to jpcares.info and find out. It'll take you a few minutes. jpcares.info to find out if you qualify for free cell service. Get it now before it's all used up.
JP here for my friend, attorney Christopher Palermo. If you are having issues with a claim on your homeowner's insurance from a sinkhole, storm damage, water intrusion, defective stucco, and construction defects, or any other issue, Christopher is your man. These big insurance companies didn't get rich paying out what you deserve. Chris founded his practice in 2009 with a passion to help all Floridians with disputes where they were forced to take on the powerful and needed a champion in their corner. Chris wants to make sure you will receive the most aggressive and compassionate representations. He has recovered millions in settlements on behalf of his clients facing defective stucco damage and other construction issues. So call Chris, mention the JP Show, and he will give you a free consultation. That's 813-221-5636, or go to PalermoPA.com. He's a fifth-generation Tampanian, graduate of Jesuit High School and the University of Florida, and he cares deeply about you and the community. That's 221-5636 or PalermoPA.com.
JP, Santa, and young St. Nick. Get us right over here. My partner for the Golden Diamond Source. You hear that? Christmas music. It's Christmas time. You just popped a question to your lady from the Golden Diamond Source diamond that you got.
Yes, I did. The Golden Diamond Source, the best place to go get your diamond for an engagement. They helped me out so much. They were so courteous to me for somebody who was so nervous. And it's Christmas time, like you said. If you're thinking about popping the question, you need to go to Golden Diamond Source.
It's the Jewelry Supercenter, fully stocked, fully staffed, and yes, just a short drive from downtown Tampa or wherever you're coming from, right there on Overton Road. Avoid the madness at the malls. And whether you're a first-time buyer or looking for that 10-carat custom design, they have it all. 9 jewelers in-house ready to make your dreams come true. To almost new. So the question is, does it work? Yeah, the research was done by Ohio State University independently, and it's clinically proven to work. It's guaranteed for up to 15 years. Now, one of the sharks on Shark Tank invested in this, so you know it's great, and they've successfully rejuvenated tens of thousands of roofs. So yes, it worked. So don't shell out 20 grand for a new roof. Call RoofMax at 352-559-9981 or go to roofmaxnorthflorida.com. That's 352-559-9981. Get it done for a fraction of the price of a new roof, guaranteed.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back. As we roll into our second hour here, we're going to talk some football with our good friend TJ Rives. We're brought to you by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. Find him at PalermoPA.com. This is Buck's sideline guy, the great TJ Rives, joining us now. What's up, partner? How are you?
I am still trying to figure out what I stood last Sunday night, and number one offense in the NFL did not score several days before Christmas. We got to ask Santa for touchdowns, apparently, moving forward. How are you, my friend?
Well, how are you? How are your knees? Did your knees get taken out at all? Were you capped at all by a by a Saints
They did not.
defensive back? Did they not
that was
target you?
awful. I've put that out there. You've put that out there. Tom Brady, as a matter of fact, put it out there last night on his podcast that got released yesterday afternoon and last night that he said, paraphrasing, I'm going to go to the competition committee about player safety here and that they need to take a look at this. And he makes a very valid point that basically nowhere else on the field are you allowed to go at anybody's knees except a defender tackling someone. In other words, on the line of scrimmage, offensive and defensive linemen can't go low. Even receivers are forbidden throwing blocks from going low. Receivers are tight ends.
Yep.
Pass rushers cannot go low. That's the Brady rule from over a decade ago, below the waist, much less at the knees. And yet we're allowing that, and Chris Godwin is done for the year. And it's rather obvious now, if you watch it happen a couple more times in the game, they were gunning for Gronkowski late in the third quarter.
Sure were.
Right at his legs after the catch on about 2 plays before Brady fumbled the ball. And they have been hinting at some kind of payback or retribution from Jameis Winston. So I guess that's it.
Which is ridiculous.
And oh, by the way, this is the same franchise, my friend, where the head coach got suspended and Greg Williams got kicked out of the NFL for having a bounty program where in large part they were going after people's legs and going after people's knees. And here it is again.
Shocking development. Did you see what Rondé tweeted out today? He said,
I have not seen that yet in my Christmas mayhem where there is food being cooked, cookies being baked, packages being wrapped. What does 2-0 have to say?
You're going to be surprised at this. And you know when he gets mad, people listen. He said, this hit on CG12 must change. Guys have no respect for the future of their fellow brothers when they do that shit. And he tried to do it again to Gronk in the second half. Bad ball, man. Get well, Chris. You are that dude. So, yeah, that's Rondé Barber calling it out as a dirty hit and noticing the same things that you noticed and I noticed and a lot of people noticed. And I know Coach Arians doesn't want to say it and stoke the fires of the rivalry, but there's no doubt in my mind that was intentional, and they were doing it all night long. They came into Tampa Bay to end their season. And I think what Rondé says is the best. You can try to legalize these hits all you want and target zones and penalties. The players have to have respect for the other players. They know what dirty hits are. They know what injuries are. They know when they're going after a defensive player, what their defenseless player, what they're doing. The players need to start policing this shit, as Rondé calls it, themselves. Would you agree?
I think yes, but the NFL has probably got to legislate just like they have with the other hits. Because, I mean, like the peel back block, the blindside block, they now have specific rules for that. They send it as points of emphasis to the teams and to the officials and say, you cannot do this. And you're going to have to do the same thing with that, because there's nothing wrong with that hit coming across the middle being at waist level, thigh level, rib level. That's how Gronk got hurt, obviously, in L.A. Was coming across the middle, same type of play with a hit to the ribs. That's football. If something like that happens, you just have to accept that. You got to be able to make the tackle and hit somewhere in the target zone. But when you're talking about the knees and the legs, and again, you have a team, and this is not sour grapes from them winning, but you have a team that they have a known past of having done this. And the head coach is the same head coach. And now they're doing it. Undeniably, they're doing it again, going at people's legs. So the NFL's got a problem. There's two schools of thought here. New Orleans is still barely alive despite a 5-game losing streak for the playoffs. And that part of what you said about Arians taking the high road is you may see this team again in the wild card weekend. You could. So you have to be careful in that regard. Again, more than likely, they're going to fall off the cliff here and lose one of their last games and be watching the playoffs. And won't that be sad for the Saints and their merry bunch of fans that they're watching the playoffs? So that's the other part of this is just move on. You have to deal with the fact you don't have Godwin, but you move on. You try to get it done, and the Saints will be watching the playoffs on TV.
So, TJ, in your mind, what did happen? How would you sum up what the Saints were able to do? How much blame is it just on the players who didn't step up? I thought the young guys missed great opportunities to do something. I mean, Gronk dropped a bunch of balls. He had 11 targets and 2 catches. I don't think this coaching staff adjusted well enough and went to the screen game and some other things. It was a very, very vanilla offensive package that just, kept doing the same things that weren't working. What are your thoughts?
I think you summed it up. I think I would go like probably about 25%. We have to give the Saints some credit. 25% is their front seven and making plays.
Yes.
Probably about 50% is you didn't have the adjustments. You didn't have this is the same pattern we've seen 3 consecutive times at home, going back to the Jameis Winston game in 2019 for Byron Leftwich at home with the Saints, where they basically got blown out in the first half of that game by not being able to mix it up, not being able to run the ball. And then you have the Sunday night horror show last year that was 35-0 against Rives and company. And let's be honest, the Bucs were very fortunate to not be down 24-0, 17-0, 24-0 in the second. Drew Brees is at the controls with that game on Sunday. That game's 24-0 in the second half, not 6-0. But and I think probably another, I don't know what my percentages are now, probably another 25% is the injuries to Godwin and Evans and Fournette changing everything you're going to do in the second half when you don't have those guys anymore. You can't run the same types of plays that you want to run because Jalen Darden and Scotty Miller can't win their battles and get open the same way that Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to get open.
That's when you got to.
I realize you got to play with who you have, but that was on the fly of, okay, now we don't have these options. And I would submit, this, but for the smart audience that pays attention to these things, you take Kelsey and Tyreek Hill and Edwards-Helaire, the running back, away from Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
it is a different attack. It's a different attack for an entire half on who am I going to. If you take Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, and one of their other star receivers away from the Packers and away from Aaron Rodgers, it's different. It's still Aaron Rodgers, but he's not going to have the same success, and they're not going to have the same plays probably called. So I definitely believe that was part of it. So you mix all of that together and you just had a bizarre situation. And you do have to credit. I think the key moment, obviously, is when Brady takes off for that scramble and gets hit from behind for a fumble inside the 20. It's going to be a field goal. Stuckup's not going to miss a second field goal in the same game from right in the middle of the field.
No.
It's going to make the game 6-3. You'd have had some momentum. You'd have had some life if he just goes down or he just throws incomplete. That energized the Saints. It demoralized the Bucs further.
Yeah.
It put them into the questioning themselves mode even further for the fourth quarter. And it was just weird to stand down there and watch this high-powered, outstanding offense that could play that New Orleans team 9 more times and not be shut out once by them. But they got shut out Sunday night. Yeah,
a lot of things went against them. TJ Rives joining us here. So how do the Bucs move forward now with their receiver situation? How do you see them playing it out? Does AB move to the slot in this Arians offense that gets most of the targets like Godwin was? Do you keep him outside? You put Scotty Miller in there, who had great success before AB got here, working out of the slot. Where does Perriman fit in? Tyler Johnson? How do you think they play this from a receiver standpoint?
I think the two biggest names are the two you just mentioned with Brown and Perriman, because Perriman's going to play more than likely on the outside. And more than likely, they're comfortable with Brown being in the slot. And so then you use Scotty Miller as a reserve. You use Tyler Johnson on the outside. You vary it up some. Another thing now that you have a couple of games to try this is Cameron Brate can line up some wide. And if you want to, you can line up either Gronk or O.J. Howard out wide just to spread people out and say, okay, you want to leave that guy one-on-one. That is, in particular for Howard or Gronkowski, it's a height and reach mismatch on a smaller defensive back. So let's see if they don't get creative. This season is far from over, as demoralizing as Sunday night was. You move now to Sunday and you win the game with Carolina, you've guaranteed a home game.
Yep.
And there's now a thought here that obviously if Green Bay wins Christmas Day before you ever play, Green Bay is basically locked up the 1 seed at that point. So now, are you going all out in week 18, the 17th game back at home with Carolina? How much does being the 2 or the 3 really matter?
Yeah.
Because if you're the 2 or the 3, you're staying away from Green Bay till the NFC Championship game. Aren't these great things to be talking about a couple days before Christmas? Where's your playoff seeding?
And not where you're drafting.
So my point is, if you are without Mike Evans, you can almost afford to not have to worry about the final game, maybe,
Yeah.
if you've already clinched the division, and Mike Evans can just rest all the way till the playoffs and get that hamstring ready, and then the dynamic
Same with
changes
Fournette.
even more in that game. And Fournette too. Good point.
Yeah, I think you're gonna kiss the number one seed goodbye because the Ravens didn't make a 2-point. I mean, imagine that. Like at 4:30, or I guess it was later. You're looking. Oh my God, we could be the number one seed at the end of the night. This is perfect. And then at the end of the night, you're sitting there without Godwin, Evans, Fournette, Levante David, and you've just got skunked by the Saints. Boy,
welcome to the NFL.
Boy,
the Arizona Cardinals about a week and a half ago were e-ticketed to be the number one seed.
Yeah, they're going into Detroit losing.
And then whatever that was, because as much as we're down and out about losing to New Orleans, who's at least decent, Detroit is horrible.
Yeah.
And for the Cardinals to go and just completely no-show, they played like the Buccaneers offensively for a lot of that game and just no-showed against a bad Detroit team. And that will likely mean they've got to be on the road weekend one, wild card weekend, if they don't hang on here against the Rams.
Right.
Because they're about to be in some kind of tiebreaker with the Rams if they win later on tonight. So that was costly for Arizona. You just don't. It's almost you don't know week to week what to expect here in these different matchups, because again, Green Bay is in command in that game. Baltimore playing without Lamar Jackson, and they almost let the Ravens sneak in the back door and beat them.
Yep.
Now, there's an argument to be made. Aaron Rodgers would have still gone down and gotten a field goal probably at the end of the game, even if they're down 32-31. But
you never know.
I don't know. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
I mean, if Cleveland gets Baker Mayfield back, they get their coach Stefanski back for the game Saturday. If they come off the COVID list and they're back, Cleveland has to win that game to stay alive for the playoffs. And maybe it's an early Christmas present, Buck fans. Maybe they shock the Packers before we even have a Buccaneer Carolina game
Wouldn't that be
on
nice?
Sunday. And then the whole dynamic changes again.
Absolutely.
So it's a week-to-week league, JP. Stay tuned.
Yes, it is. No doubt. TJ Rives joining us here. What'd you make of Bruce's comments yesterday about, I don't give a shit about what other people think. I'm thinking about my football team right now.
Well, yeah.
I love it. I love it.
He's obviously taken criticism, and he can take it, about the no tolerance, zero tolerance, no leash. But as he mentioned, Antonio Brown behaved himself last year through all of the process.
Yeah,
he
that
resolved
matters.
all of his legal stuff in the offseason, and now he's been punished for what he did. And ultimately, what the Buccaneers' attitude is going to be is he's been punished twice now by the NFL, and if the NFL says he can play, we're going to keep him. And I think it would have been very interesting if the Buccaneers had been lighting it up all along and not losing games without Antonio Brown. It would have been a different argument. But they haven't been lighting it up, especially with the near collapse against Buffalo, and then you don't even score. Now it's almost like a no-brainer that you would want him back. And let's be honest. Let's be real 3 days before Christmas. Tom Brady wants him back. We all know what the truth is here.
Exactly.
Tom Brady trusts him. He wants him back, and this is much Tom Brady's input as anything else for the stretch run, because bear in mind, Brady lobbied in the first place to bring him here. When that came completely out of the blue last season, that was Tom Brady saying, I will make sure that he does the right things as much as I can. I will be responsible for overseeing this. Let's bring him in. We can make it work, and it did work to a large extent last year. So Brady has heavy influence. We all know that.
Yeah.
And now let's see what happens.
Well, most of the people that want him kicked off the team certainly aren't Bucs fans, and are probably most of the folks that want everything shut down because of the Omicron. So good for this organization could have knuckled under with a lot of public pressure. Arians, could have been the guy that says, I'm the one who's a stickler for everything, and I had cancer and blah blah blah. But he let common sense rule the day and science rule the day. He's vaccinated. He's going to be fine. All the coaches are vaccinated. All the players are all vaccinated. Everybody's going to be fine. So I think what he did.
And one
100%
important point
correct
in all this, not only was he vaccinated, but he also had COVID-19 earlier in the year. Remember, he missed the Rams game.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown. So
he's got
but that
immunity as
concern
well.
and that discussion. Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the craziness is still evolving, as you know, and as you keep talking about, because there's still a lot of talk today that the Philadelphia Eagles are now shorthanded to play this game with Washington from COVID-19 with vaccinated players after Washington's had like 20 guys on the list. So this I don't know who's playing. This is like a replacement game from '87 during the strike with the Eagles and the Washington football team. Who's playing tonight in
Mark
this
Royals.
Tuesday game with who they don't have? So this is not going to go away for this weekend and maybe even next weekend. By the way, on who's got positive cases, who can play, who cannot play. So you're almost battling COVID-19 in addition to your opponents. The off-field controversy with Antonio Brown. It will not be dull, my friend.
Yeah, no doubt.
Moving forward.
All right, before you go, so hanging out with you, I guess you could get a Rolex watch. Evidently, I mean, I missed the boat on that deal.
My friend, I have been around many crazy things as you have as well. And number one, it was a circus for the Jake Paul main event rematch with Tyron Woodley, Amalie Arena, the home of the Lightning, which I'm here to testify to the congregation of FanStream Sports. The arena was full, brother.
Oh, it was.
Except for the one section behind the Showtime scaffolding to show the fights, which was in the one end zone where they had obstructed seats in the lower level. You could not see around the scaffolding. Every other seat was full. And they did not give tickets away.
No, they did not.
They sold them.
They did
as
not.
we know, as we talked about off the air, and you might have mentioned on the air.
Yeah, I tried to get some to give away. They sold it out.
They sold the place out.
Yeah.
So it was a circus atmosphere. It was interesting to watch the NBA player Darren Williams and the NFL player Frank Gore. That got a big pop out of the arena. And Darren Williams was in better shape. I mean, Frank Gore looked exhausted after the first round. Welcome to boxing being different than the NFL.
Yes.
And Darren Williams admitted that. They were both tired in the fourth round. This is a totally different thing.
Yep.
Amanda Serrano delivered. She was fantastic. She's going to get the mega fight with Katie Taylor.
Yep.
That is probably going to be at Madison Square Garden in the first half of next year. Ladies World Championship fight, so that was good. And then you have the Jake Paul fight and that circus.
Wow.
And what was wild, there were a lot of people there to boo Jake Paul. There was a lot of hate in downtown Tampa in the arena. I don't know how that translated on Showtime and the pay-per-view, but there was some booing of him. There was some hate of him, but my God, what a right hand. We know this guy has a big right, and he blasted Tyron Woodley, laid him out. So all of that happened, all the bedlam happened, and then we went for the post-fight press conference. And again, there's a ton of boxing media. They're back there in the press conference room where the Lightning do all of their post-game stuff after the games are over with John Cooper and the players, etc. And my man Peter Blake, who's done local radio and internet shows and TV here for the better part of a decade, he's there with me. We're there covering the fight. Peter's got all of his set up. He's streaming live on his channels on YouTube and Facebook. And he asked Jake the question about the Rolex watch because he said, I'm giving Tyron Woodley a Rolex because it's time to knock you the F out.
Yes.
So that was the punchline. That was the joke. And so Peter's question was about, are you going to give future opponents a Rolex before you knock them out? And then Jake Paul looks right at him and says, you want a Rolex, bro? And he says, sure. And I kid you not, this is 2 feet from me. Logan Paul and one of the assistants come right over to Peter and get all of his information.
No.
And get all of his stuff. And I'm looking at Peter going, I don't know if they're going to follow through or not, but this is still a pretty cool story and a pretty cool thing that you'll talk about forever. And sure enough, they've called him, JP. That's the update. They've called him, and they're apparently sending him one. So it is crazy. It's kind of taken on a life of its own.
Boy, I'm sure Rolex will be happy to send him that and not get all the pub that they've gotten out of it. That's freaking fantastic. But it pays to hang out with TJ Reeves.
We'll see about the Rolex. Yeah,
it pays to hang out with TJ Reeves. All right.
Yes, exactly.
All right, my friend.
I travel in those circles, brother.
Well, tell everybody how they can get your content, and the Bucks podcast is the huge hit this year.
So the Nothing But Bucks podcast is available as a game recap podcast on the Bucks mobile app on Buccaneers.com, Apple, Spotify, where you get those. You can hear me there. We hang out with the 3 Dog Thursday podcast. We got Christmas underdogs coming for bowl games, NFL games. 3 Dog Thursday podcast will be out appropriately enough on Thursday for this week. We'll be in Charlotte with Buccaneers radio pregame at noon. I'm very popular in my house, I say sarcastically, as we're leaving Saturday afternoon to head to Charlotte on the last flights out of Tampa International to get to Charlotte for the Bucks and the Panthers. And I say one more time, Buccaneer fans, it is all in front of this team to be the number 2 seed and maybe even the number 1 seed by just beating bad competition here at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I know you got injuries. I know you're down about Sunday night, but move on and go win the game Sunday because we've been talking about for like 2 months on your show, 13-4, 13-4 and like the 2 seed, you'd want to be the 1, but 13-4, if you can get there and be the 2 seed and have home games in the playoffs, we will take that.
Yes.
So that's still in front of you. Go win the games, take that, and let's get into January and be playing playoff games at Raymond James Stadium. Love that. Everybody have a great Christmas. Always great to be with you, my friend.
You're the best.
Let's see what happens on Sunday in Charlotte.
Thank you, man. Merry Christmas to you and the twin, lovely wife, the Reeves family. Have a great one. We'll catch up next week. Thanks, buddy.
Yes, sir. Happy to do it. Merry Christmas to the Fan Stream audience.
Yes.
Everybody behave.
All right, partner. Thanks. Just watching Get Up right now, and you need new security. Just toasted Alex Kappa for that whiff on Cam Jordan. Rightfully so. All right, we will take a break. When we come back, the quote of the day from Bruce Arians yesterday about AB. We'll get into that whole nonsense. A couple more things on the NHL and some crazy stories that you just cannot make up. Stay with us.
Are you in the market for a refinance or looking for a new home? You got to call my man, Fitz the Mortgage Guy, Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. I have got literally a notebook here of testimonials on what a great job he's done for so many of our listeners. Scott saved me $1,200 up front. Scott paid for my appraisal. Scott got my PMI taken off. Scott helped me pay off my car. They didn't give him money, but he refinanced everything for these folks and showed them a great strategy to get rid of their debt. He's not just a mortgage broker. He's like a financial counselor, and he's passionate to get you the lowest rate and keep you from paying those upfront lender fees. You know those folks that say, we'll pay your closing costs? Well, then they come back and hit you with all these other fees. Folks, go to a local guy who's got a great reputation, been in the business for 20 years here, done 3,000 local mortgages. Scott Fitzgerald. Email him, scott@amstampa.com. That's scott@amstampa.com. Are you selling your home or refinancing? JP here for Greenleaf Title. You choose the title company, not the realtor, and it makes a difference. You want a reputable company that will make sure your title is safe and secure. There are a lot of scammers out there right now. So go with a trusted company like Greenleaf Title. Plus, they will close anywhere, folks, and they will send a limo to pick you up to come to the closing. Yep, the great JP Limo Closing is back. All you got to do is give them a call at 727-258-6005 or go to greenleaftitle.com. We'll set up the limo for you. They'll come pick you up. Heck, we even picked up one couple, took them to Black Rock Restaurant, one of our favorite advertisers, and then to the closing. That's how they do it at Greenleaf Title. Great service. We'll close anywhere. The lowest fees in the business. 727-258-6005 or go to greenleaftitle.com. That's greenleaftitle.com. Hey, did you start a new gig, a little side hustle during COVID? Well, if you don't have business insurance, you could be risking your personal fortune. That's how it works. JP here for Italiano Insurance. That's right. If you don't have business insurance, you can get sued and lose everything you've worked for. Not a good idea. Call the good folks at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. And if you have existing business insurance, shop it around. They could save you thousands of dollars as well. 813-877-7799. Who wants free mobile service? I do. And you can get 30 gigs a month from companies like AT&T Service, T-Mobile. Great service. Keep your number and get free mobile service. It's part of the emergency broadband benefit from the stimulus bill. 87% of America qualifies. So if you think you make too much money or whatever, just go to jpcares.info and find out. It'll take you a few minutes. jpcares.info to find out if you qualify for free cell service. Get it now before it's all used up. Cryptocurrency is all the rage today. The market cap for the industry is now over $1 trillion. And you read about people making millions of dollars, right? You want to get in, but have no idea what to do? Or maybe you dabbled a bit and you want to unlock the real money-making opportunities and don't know how to do it. There are over 10,000 tokens and thousands of decentralized finance exchanges to navigate. So what do? You go to DeFiLava.com. The folks at DeFiLava.com are in Tampa Bay, and they work with you directly to set up custom accounts, answer all your questions, and provide market analysis. Decentralized finance and cryptocurrencies are here to stay and will change the financial markets as we know them. Get in the game. Get with the experts at DeFiLava.com and tell them JP sent you and get their free 2022 crypto market forecast today at DeFiLava.com. Don't get left behind, folks. Make some money at DeFiLava.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, presented by the law offices of Christopher Palermo. If you're having any issues with sinkhole, storm damage, water intrusion, defective stucco, construction defects, he is your man. He will fight those big insurance companies for you and get what you deserve. They do not want to give you what you deserve, so you're going to need a lawyer to get that. So don't just take what they give you. Have a great representative, and obviously, Christopher Palermo is the man. He has been doing this since 2009, folks. He is an expert in the field. You can call him at 221-5636. That's 813-221-5636, or go to PalermoPA.com. He's recovered millions in settlements on behalf of his clients. You will get a better deal when you have an attorney. So if you have any damage, make sure you are represented. That money be well worth your while. So give him a call, 221-5636, or go to PalermoPA.com. All right, we're going to hear more from Bruce Arians, the money shot, as we like to say in the business. Yesterday, the quote that got the biggest play, obviously, was the question. The question's not included here, right? So the question is basically, you said that you had zero tolerance for AB. You're very serious about your COVID protocols. Why in the world would you now allow him to come back and play? Or do you not afraid of what you're going to hear from your critics on this particular decision? Here's what he had to say to that.
I could give a shit what they think. The only thing I care about is this football team and what's best for us.
Short and sweet. I'm trying to. Does he have why bring AB back? I think this is kind of the follow up to that particular statement. Let's do that one, number 3.
Well, the history has changed since that statement. A lot of things went on last year that I was very proud of him, and I made a decision that this was best for our football team.
So I know while John Romano wrote at the Times about this is the integrity of the organization, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. As I mentioned with TJ, so much of this just comes down to other people that want to see the Bucs lose, number one, and people that are in the camp of COVID fear and anything that goes against. I'm not saying what AB did was right. It was not. You should not be using a fake COVID card. You should not be misrepresenting your vaccine status. But as far as I know, he did get vaccinated, and they confirmed that. So we knew that. He also had COVID, like many of the vaccinated players, and so then has natural immunity, which is better than the vaccine, according to the scientists. So this danger that everybody talks about, that AB put Bruce in or Tom Moore in, who are all vaccinated, by the way, protected by the vaccine, I don't see how you can make this crazy jump to that.
Everybody's using that integrity card, like you said. If you're looking for integrity in this world, like a lot of good in this world, don't go to football teams to find it. Don't go to sports teams. They care about one thing, and that's winning football games. That's it. It's all about the week's worth of practice and 3 hours on a Sunday. That's it. There's nothing else that matters, okay? We've seen so far worse things where people have come back and played. For crying out loud, we got people playing in the league who on video have kicked and punched women, okay?
Yeah.
A lot worse, I think.
Coaches that done that to the players.
Yeah, and probably other stuff that we don't even know about, okay?
Right.
Just face that reality first off. That's what I would say to it. Every other team in the league, no other team I don't think would cut AB in this situation.
No.
They'd be crazy to.
No.
And I think this whole integrity thing and all the journalists and the media who are the ones, honestly, who seem the most irritated about it.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
I don't see any fans who really care.
No, the fans don't. I think because the fans have a much better, more measured opinion of this, I think. I think a lot of people in the media, well, just look at, the mainstream media is extremely liberal. I think we know this. And obviously there's two different takes on when it's all been politicized. So it's divided the nation along those lines as well. And those people are typically very much in the COVID fear control.
I don't even know if it really is like based on like the way they may lean politically. I think it's more of as a society, if you make a statement like that based on how the trend is or the quote unquote right thing to say in society, they're just not going to say it, no matter if it's how they feel or not. They're going to toe the line and they're going to play that card because they have to uphold to whatever standard they think. I think that's what it comes down to. I don't know if it, and maybe that kind of segues into politics.
Yeah, I think it does very much so. Unfortunately, that's what this thing has been politicized from the very beginning. And, especially when it comes to the media and their lack of interrogation of the origins of this in a serious way, their continued assault on therapies that clearly work, assault on people that find therapies, their lack of interest in therapies, is all that. And we talk about this because it is a microcosm of what's going on in America, and it very much is affecting how these games, when these games are played, and who's going to win these games. So these COVID protocols are very, very important in the success of your team and how you handle them.
And I said it before. I didn't like how this happens now towards a playoff run, because you got teams that are going to lose football games that they need to win.
Right.
I can go right
Look at
to
the
last
Browns.
night.
Yeah.
They almost won the game.
Should have won the game
with a third string quarterback in, half their offensive line out, starting tight end, starting receiver, 22 guys on the COVID list. And how
many of those guys you think are actually sick?
I don't think anybody is.
None.
And that's the point, is they're doing this, and that team now, that's a loss that they really needed to have.
I think about the players. Think about them from this situation. They were told that if they got vaccinated, they wouldn't have to worry about being tested. The NFL went back on that. They were told they wouldn't have to do all these protocols if they got vaccinated. They've reneged on that, just like our public health officials. And so these players are sitting there in a critical game, not sick, on the sidelines because of some phantom positive test for the Omicron Delta variant, which they probably and they're vaccinated. How frustrating do you think it is for those players? Extremely frustrating. That's why you're finally hearing guys like Baker Mayfield and other guys come out and say what needs to be said. And yeah, of course, the media mob and the Twitter mob are going to go after him. So what? Have the courage to do it. Have the courage to speak your mind. You're going through it. Speak your mind, and let the chips fall where they may. History will judge you in a very good light. Trust me on that. Because look at all these things that have been reported. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. That's a conspiracy, and they've all turned out to be true. So if they're ripping on you, you're probably right. So just be cognizant of that. All right, back to Arians here. Let's play number 2. Did we play that one yet? Backups needing to step up. This has never been more true for this team, and we did not see it on Sunday night.
No, not really. I mean, it's just a matter of opportunities. When your opportunities come, you got to be ready. I thought Rowe ran really well. He caught the ball good. And so, yeah, for the other guys, OJ gets a hand on the ball. I see him make that play. But no, it's just a matter of, same thing with those young receivers. Right. They got to be able to beat tight man-to-man coverage, which the Saints are going to play.
Yeah, and it'll help to scheme up a few different plays too against that tight man-to-man coverage. If you don't have the athletes and the elite athletes to beat that man-to-man coverage, which is basically what a lot of the Bucs offense is based on, you got to have a plan B. You got to have a plan B, and it doesn't really appear that the Bucs did. And speaking of Rojo, here's Arians talking about how this is his time to shine.
Yeah, it really is, Rick. It's his time now to do what happened for Leonard last year, when he got hurt. And so, yeah, I've got all the confidence in the world. He ran great, caught the ball good. And I think going forward, it's his job right now.
So time to step up, Rojo. And I've got him on my bench for fantasy.
I'd put him in, honestly.
Yeah, I was going to start him last week. But I have Aaron Jones and who else did I have? From the Cardinals, Connor. Yeah. So hard to put him in with those two guys. But
let's see how many carries he gets. I mean, the Bucs.
Oh, they should run the ball against this team. This Carolina team has a really good pass rush, as TJ mentioned and Scott mentioned.
One of the teams he faced last year, he ran for 198, including that 99-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
That was in Carolina. So
yeah,
familiar opponent there for him. I mean, you got to run the ball, man. I mean, if these guys aren't going to get open and they're going to do the same thing they did the other night, because the secondary, I would say, probably is of the Carolina defense. It's probably one of their strengths with Stephon Gilmore and Jeremy Chin, some other guys back there. So run the damn ball, you know?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, and they can do it. They have a very good offensive line in run blocking, very athletic. Gronk is a great blocker. Absolutely. Control the game. Carolina's offense is for shiz. And this defense is finding its way. With all the problems of the offense, we didn't talk about the defense. And I know, look, Taysom Hill is not the greatest thrower of the football, but he can run it. They've got some weapons. The Bucs defense played tremendously well.
Yeah.
They were fantastic. And that was without Anton Winfield, without Jamel Dean, Richard Sherman, and Levante David going out.
And by the way, too, JPP, we've talked about.
Yeah.
I don't at this point, I don't know why he's even out there.
Yeah, Tryon's playing great. Tryon had his best game of the year.
Yeah, I think I saw more Tryon than usual in that game.
Absolutely.
And I think it's because JPP, since that injury, he's gone 7 games without a sack.
Yeah, he can't play.
He can't play right now.
You need to rest him. I've been saying this for weeks and weeks and weeks. You have faith in Tryon. The kid can play. And Gill's a good player too.
Every time Gill and Nelson are in there,
they're playing well. Use your depth. And I know it's JPP is such a strong personality. He wants to play, but you as a team, you just have to say, man, you know what? We're going to shut you down for a couple of games. You're going to be inactive,
especially in these last 3. I mean,
take
Carolina
a break, JPP.
And the Jets.
Come on, man.
You need to sit him down and say, hey, let's get this bye, and then we need you when we play, Arizona or the Rams.
100%.
That's when we need you.
100%. They've got to do this. They really have to do this. All right. Other stuff that we needed to get to. The Gators are in town. UCF is in town for Thursday's Gasparilla Bowl. Emory Jones is a weird situation. Emory Jones is going to start the game and is in the transfer portal. First of all, dude, where are you going? Like, where are you going? Like, who
Emory Jones?
Yeah.
Where is he going?
Who's going to take you?
He's going to take you.
Come on.
He is.
People knocking down the door to get the turnover machine. Really?
They will. They will.
Who?
They will.
Who?
Like old
Jacksonville State.
Old Dominion. I don't know.
Jacksonville State winners of FSU.
Maybe he could go down the road to FAMU or up the road to FAMU. I don't know.
Okay.
Down the road to FAU, Taggart. I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, does he feel like he's just never going to play behind Anthony Richardson is leaving, right?
No, Richardson. I don't think he's going to leave. No.
Isn't he in the portal as well?
No, he's not in the portal.
Okay.
No, Richardson is going to stay, I think. But
I mean, didn't Napier meet with him? That's usually the kiss of death. Sorry, it's my last week before Christmas. We got to get our.
You got to get your last dig in.
Yeah, Kair Elam is going to play.
I'm very shocked by that.
I'm shocked by that. I mean, attaboy. Good job. I mean, Gators need you. I like when players play in these ball games. I mean, it is a risk. There's no doubt about that.
The other big risk too, like even some of these bigger bowl games, like Kenny Pickett's not playing in that big bowl against Michigan State.
That's
it's just really interesting. And I think if that's a game, he had a chance to maybe submit himself as the number 1 quarterback. But
this is one I don't like. I mean, I know it's not in the national championship hunt, but
it's a pretty big one.
It's been a long time since Pittsburgh's done anything on the national stage. You're a Heisman Trophy finalist. You're going to be a top first-round pick, maybe the top quarterback taken, and you're sitting out this game. I mean, if I'm one of the – and, okay, look, I know quarterbacks can get hurt. I know that's part of it. But you do have insurance policy. It's not like you get hurt, you make no money. So you're set for life. I mean – those insurance policies pay out in the, $10-15 million. So, it's not NFL money. I get it. And as a quarterback, how much risk are you taking getting hurt? It's not like you're out in the field getting pounded all the time. This is a big moment for Pitt. That one just right on me.
Flip side of it, Corral, who also is a potential first-round pick, he's going to play in the Sugar Bowl against Baylor.
Yeah, I think that's a bad decision by Pickett.
Yeah, I would
on multiple levels.
Yeah. Very, very torn on those kind of stuff.
I hate to tell a kid, with all that money at stake, but that one seems a little bit, I don't know. It's tough for the fan base. I really feel bad for him on that. All right, great show. TJ Rives joined us. Great stuff from him. Scott Reynolds, all the great sound. Go back and listen to it. If you download our app, you can listen to us anytime. I notice a lot of people are listening after the live stream, so that's awesome. It is a podcast, so you can go on Apple and Spotify, subscribe there, subscribe on our YouTube page, and you can watch it anytime as well. It's the best 2 hours in local sports talk. Well, listen every day from 10 to noon or anytime. It's a JP Peterson Show. Thanks for listening. We got a big show on Wednesday, so don't miss it. Merry Christmas!